I'm sure everybody just assumed I was a brain surgeon. Okay.
Right. Yeah, because that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
What mind? Okay, here we go. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lynn.
Whoever wrote this episode should die!
Oh, shit, I think I wrote it. And back with a bad case of the munchies, the podcaster with a fully packed bong, Pat.
Do I?
And today we will be discussing the 1999 sci-fi comedy Galaxy Quest, directed by Dean Parisot, written by David Howard, starring Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, and Alan Rickman, among others like The Rock. Not The Rock you're thinking about. As always, this podcast will be filled with
Grignac.
So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. But before we get into it, let's run the trailer.
In the far reaches of the galaxy, a civilization is under siege.
We are all that is left.
They've searched the universe for a leader.
Stay tuned for scenes from next week's Galaxy Quest.
Never give up. Never surrender.
He will save us.
What they got
Never give up and never surrender.
were struggling TV actors.
You are our last hope.
Where's my limo?
Okie dokie.
And they're about to put on a command performance 8 million light years away.
We are actors, not astronauts.
You are our protectors.
That was a hell of a thing.
Now,
Laredo, take us out.
Get a move to the right.
Would you sit your ass down? You want to drive this thing?
acting like heroes.
The whole thing was just a misunderstanding.
May not be enough.
They look like little children. Hi, little guy.
Oh, darn.
DreamWorks Pictures presents Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Galaxy Quest.
You're just gonna have to kill him.
Well, go for the mouth, the throat, his vulnerable spots.
It's a rock. It doesn't have any vulnerable spots.
Okay, Dylan, would you like to give us a synopsis?
Oh, like you told me not to write one, so I didn't do it.
Nice. Well, just give us one off the cuff. Let's hear what you can come up with.
Oh boy. All right, let's see here. The stars of a 1970s sci-fi show, now scraping a living. Start over again.
I'll give you guys the synopsis. After his show, Tool Time was canceled.
No.
Stars on a little show called Galaxy Quest. After that show was canceled, he is abducted by aliens who tell him they have crafted their entire civilization after the show Galaxy Quest. He is taken aboard their ship where he does shit. Then he comes back, gathers his crew. They go back into space for an adventure.
God, please stop.
That's our synopsis.
That was awful.
That was horrid.
Well, it was better than what you came up with.
I was literally reading it off of Google.
Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to give you guys our opening thoughts. Oh, I'm going to give you my opening thoughts.
Oh, dear.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mark Kitchen and his lovely family for submitting Galaxy Quest for the New Year's Eve podcast. And we hope you guys enjoy it as much as we're going to enjoy talking about it. And just so everybody knows, we could have had that opening segment much tighter, but we're going to have a little fun with it tonight because it is New Year's Eve. There's going to be no editing tonight. What we say is what you will hear. So you two, behave yourselves.
I can't wait till you make a glaring mistake and you have to edit it out.
Not happening.
Buckle up.
Okay. Here we go. So Galaxy cost $45 million to make, and it grossed $90 million at the box office. So we can say that this absolutely was a successful movie. The actors that were considered for the role of Jason Nesmith were Alec Baldwin, and we'll discuss this in a minute, Alec Baldwin, Steve Martin, and Kevin Kline. Harold Ramis disagreed so strongly with the casting of Tim Allen that he left the project in February of 1999, never to look back. In my opinion, I think Alec Baldwin would have been an amazing Jason Nesmith. I think that the other two, Steve Martin, no, I don't want that, and Kevin Kline, I don't want that either.
No.
I think that Tim Allen was the best of all of those. Given the choice, I think Tim Allen probably was the one who should have had it in the end.
I agree.
Lynn?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Tim Allen person. I wasn't a Home Improvement fan or anything like that, but he does a great job in this. I can't
Great
complain.
job.
I can't complain.
So yeah, I thought Tim Allen nailed the role, not to give away the end, but I thought he was fucking great. The ship's name, the NTE Protector, that's short for not the Enterprise, in case you guys didn't know.
Yeah,
So I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, that was good. And I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Pat, what are your opening thoughts on this before we get into it?
Well, let's start from the beginning. I am a big Tim Allen fan.
Here we go. We're
saw-
starting from the beginning, Lynn.
Uh-oh. Back when I was 10.
Go.
No, I'm a huge Tim Allen fan. I have been for a very long time. I saw him do stand-up. I watched Home Improvement from beginning to end, and a lot of that came out of his stand-up. I watched him go into Last Man Standing, enjoyed that role. And as Jason Nesmith, he handles a comedy role best. I mean, I could see maybe Kevin Kline doing it because I've seen him in comedy roles, but Tim Allen was perfect for this role.
I fucking hate Klein. Oh, it's a shitty actor.
Okay, then.
All right, Dylan, what are your opening thoughts? I'm stopping him right there.
Oh boy. All right. So frankly, I could not love Sigourney Weaver more than what she did with this, because it was purposely to do a complete spin away from Ripley. You know,
Yeah.
the boobs, the blonde hair, you know, a little bit vapid, like perfect.
Yep.
Like it was so good. And a little piece of trivia that you guys will probably get a kick out of was that the guy who plays Tony Shalhoub that plays Fred Kwan, he actually was going for the role of Guy Fleegman. Like he was pushing to get that role, and they ended up giving it to Rockwell instead. And they said, well, what about, you know, doing Kwan? And he's like, well, I mean, I'm not Asian, which he's not.
And the makeup.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. The eyebrows in that opening sequence, but I don't want to jump ahead, but fantastic. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because I really like Sam Rockwell in this movie. Like if they had put Tony Shalhoub in that role instead,
Wouldn't have been as good.
wouldn't have been as good. Wouldn't have been as good. He is literally, he steals the movie most of the time.
Yeah, if Sam Rockwell's not in this movie, it's not as good.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
No.
Agreed.
No.
He actually makes a lot of the movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm an Alan Rickman fan like crazy. So like, I love him in this. And yeah.
The writers gave him all the best lines, and they really did. And he steals this movie, in my opinion.
Rockwell.
Yeah. I mean, he gets all the best lines, and we're going to go through them. He literally gets all the best lines, and he's like fifth down on the list of actors. You know,
he was literally a nobody when he got in this movie.
Oh my God, his comedic timing in this is it's spectacular. Some of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Des and I were talking about this earlier, and there's no question that Guy Fleegman is the best character in this show. He's not the lead character, but he is the best character. I got more laughs and giggles out of
yeah.
his reactions
Yeah.
and the way he moved, the way he talked, everything he did was just so spot on for the best character.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So for the listeners that don't know, I work with Pat, and actually Thursday, was it Thursday or Friday? We were working together. I think it was Friday. We actually listened to Galaxy Quest on that on a website that I listen to that is just the audio for movies. So we listened to this movie through while we were working, and we were, quoting it and laughing and talking about it. So yeah, this movie is awesome. So let's get into it. And just in case you guys want to know, we're brain surgeons. No,
what?
nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody just assumed I was a brain surgeon. Okay.
Right. Yeah, because that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
What mind? Okay, here we go. The movie opens with a vintage scene from the television show Galaxy Quest, and then cuts to present day where we find ourselves at a Galaxy Quest convention. The very unenthusiastic cast of the show, Fred, Tommy, Alexander, and Gwen, are backstage awaiting the commander, Jason Nesmith, played by Tim Allen. We see Alexander, played by Alan Rickman, having a nervous breakdown as he hates his role in the show. Jason finally shows up late, and the cast takes the stage in front of an eager crowd. We see the crew signing autographs, and we meet Guy, an actor that was on one episode of the show. He asks if he can sit and sign some autographs. Jason then meets Mathasar and his crew of Thermians, an alien race of beings. On his way to the bathroom, he agrees to go to their starship the next day, thinking they're just fans wanting an appearance. In the bathroom, Jason overhears two kids that are clearly not fans of the show calling him a loser. This sets him into a depression. I mean, that wasn't great, but I'll take it.
Okay, moving
Thoughts, Delin?
Oh dear. There's a lot of ground to cover. The original show that they show at the beginning, and they have it out of the letterbox. It's in like the old, square, like we used to watch TV in. Fantastic.
Yes.
The super dramatic makeup, Fred Kwan's crazy eyebrow, and just all of it's fantastic. I love it. It was lovely. And I don't want to steal your thunder on this, but you brought this up that so I'm gonna just go there.
You're gonna steal my thunder. Steal my thunder.
I'm not stealing your thunder. I'm gonna open it up so that you can discuss it.
Okay.
He's thunderlips.
This is my thunder, people.
This is his thunder. So we were talking last night about how Jason is a little too egotistical to let some idiots in a bathroom who are clearly not even fans, kind of send him into a tailspin. And I agree. I agree that there's other ways that you could work around that. And Des had some good ideas about it.
Yeah. Pat, what did you think of the opening scenes?
Okay, well, being from the generation that watched Star Trek when it was being aired, I thought it was the parody of Galaxy Quest as something like Star Trek was pretty amusing. Mm-hmm. The hand motions, like when they're trying to fight someone, it's so 80s that it was hysterical.
Loved it.
Fred Kwan's makeup, it looked like he literally got made up by like an Asian clown makeup artist. It was, oh my God, it was crazy funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one character in the movie, pretty much from beginning to end, that I didn't like, and I know you agree with me, Des, is Tommy Weber.
Yep.
Now, I don't care how smart you are as a kid. You're not going to put a kid in charge of flying a spacecraft.
No.
It doesn't happen.
We all saw Next Generation, yes?
Yes, but the kid didn't fly the ship.
No, he didn't.
He was just brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's just the beginning of my dislike for Tommy Weber. We'll get back to the rest of it later.
He's just too angry. He's just too angry.
Alan Rickman was probably, I couldn't have pictured him any better in this movie. His breakdown, waiting for Jason to show up, was just classic funny. He's trying to sneak out. He's got a trench coat on and the collar up, and he's trying to sneak out because he can't stand playing this role anymore.
And a funny thing too is that he actually was typecast because of Hans Gruber. So he ended up typecast as a villain, and he was struggling to get out of it. And, you know, it was annoying to him. And he also used to perform Shakespeare. So like, he definitely was like, kind of like working on his own, you know, his own experience in that.
His versatility was crazy. Hans Gruber, fantastic character.
I mean,
Alexander
Rickman could do
Dane.
no wrong. Yeah.
Alexander Dane, fantastic character. And mind you, for the Harry Potter fans, he was also Professor Snape.
Yep. He's amazing.
Was a remarkable character.
Yeah, he is a remarkable actor.
Tony Shalhoub as Fred. Fred was probably one of my more relatable characters because I swear, as God is my witness, the man looked stoned the entire movie.
Oh,
everything about him could not have been more relaxed and laid back.
Right.
Everything. He's the only one that didn't freak out. Well, I don't want to jump too far ahead.
Well, and like we were discussing at work, you know, he is the perfect foil for a guy because, you know, they purposely put them in scenes together where we're going to get the unbelievably relaxed Fred playing off the unbelievably freaked out guy.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
again, I don't want to jump to scenes, but they are playing off each other like a perfect foil.
Sam Rockwell purposely drank a ton of coffee every day.
I love it.
So that he would be jittery and sweaty and
that explains it then.
Yeah, and I'll tell you,
purpose.
With a movie like this, as important as Star Trek is to so many people, you know, this movie could have been hated by Star Trek fans.
So this is what started, is that everyone thought that this was going to be a mean-spirited parody. They didn't realize it was like a love letter to Star Trek and, you know, science fiction in general.
Yeah.
So initially, all the Star Trek people were like, F this, we're not going to get involved. We're not going to pay attention to it. We're not like, we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist. And then it came out and they were like, oh, we were wrong. This was actually really quite, you know, on the nose and spot on. And it actually, you know, shows a lot of love to the genre.
Yeah, and they've actually polled Star Trek fans, like real ones at Comic-Cons and stuff. And this is thought to be the 7th best Star Trek movie of all times. That's true. That's true. So, all right.
Before you go ahead, can we just talk about the fact that he, Rickman, Alexander Dane says, I won't say the line. I'm not going out there and saying the line. So he goes out there and he just gives the salute. And then the you know, the video behind him, by Grabthar's hammer, and he turns and he gives Gwen this look.
Oh yeah,
makes me laugh every single time.
The looks of disgust that he throws so many times, and the words, the way he speaks, he could not be more unhappy at this point in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's funny too because you know you're gonna get the I had 3 curtain calls, you know, and you know, and I love his interactions with Jason. You know, old friend. I mean, he's pulling off his best William Shatner, and it's great. So let me give you guys my little plot twist that I would have put in this, or my little device I would have put in had I been writing this to get Jason to the depressed place that he is at. Okay, so instead of having the 2 trolls. Him overhearing them in the bathroom and this turning him, you know, getting him depressed and sending him into this tailspin. How about this? So he goes home that night and he's feeling good from the Galaxy Quest thing. Let's just say they're about to do the spinoff of Galaxy Quest that would be like Next Generation. And let's say he went in and read for the part of the commander for the new one. He calls his agent and his agent says, you know, Jason, I'm sorry, but they're going with someone younger. They're just going to have to pass on you. And then he gets depressed, starts drinking, watching the old episodes, reliving his heyday. We go forward. I think that works better than what we got here.
I think that's more true to character.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when he hears those 2 punks making fun of him and beating him down, I didn't know whether to hate them and wish them dead or feel sorry for Jason?
Yeah, it was neither for me. I just didn't think it mattered. I didn't think Jason would care. It wouldn't make a difference to him because this wasn't like these were two Galaxy Quest fans. And they were like, wow, this guy's lost. He's a real. These guys were trolls. He doesn't care.
But his ego is what had him up on such a high horse. As far as he was concerned, look at the love everybody showed him.
Exactly. Got 500 people blowing sunshine up his ass.
Right, but now he's knocked down to reality that he wasn't as popular outside that genre. And it was really sad the way you see it in his face.
I didn't buy it. It was thin. It wasn't good writing. It didn't work.
Before we move on, too, I do want to mention we see a very young Justin Long here as one of the kids trying to talk to him about the ship, and he snaps at him after he was upset.
Yeah.
He definitely comes back in that movie, and he was still a kid in this movie. So
yeah, I didn't bother writing him into this yet because they don't even give you a name or anything. I mean, yeah, it matters to the plot, but I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah, I didn't actually write him into this until a little later.
Yeah,
I need to make an observation. You said Justin Long here?
Justin Long.
Justin Long.
Yeah, I might have said Justin Long here.
Okay, that was Brandon.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm just putting this together. I'm a big Die Hard fan.
Oh yeah, he was in that last one.
And own them all. That's the same actor.
Yeah.
That was in the fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
He's also in
God, that's where I saw him. I would see this actor in Galaxy Quest, and I'd see the actor in Die Hard 4, and I didn't put two and two together until right now. I'm like, oh my God, it's the same kid.
And it's funny, this is his acting debut. And I mean, when I say his acting debut, I mean his acting debut. He had never done a commercial. He had never done a TV appearance. He had never done anything.
He did pretty well then.
He did great. I love this actor. I think he's great. I loved him in Die Hard 4. He's great.
Yeah, and of course, Dodgeball.
Yeah, fucking A, man. He was awesome in Dodgeball. All right, next we see Jason Nesmith in his Hollywood mansion later that evening, getting drunk and feeling sorry for himself while watching reruns of Galaxy Quest. In the morning, the Thermians show up at his house with a limousine to take him to their spaceship. Once on board the starship, Jason takes the helm and fires on a Rothar warship led by General Saris. Before returning to Earth, Mathesor gives Jason a communicator. If none of you can tell, I've put no periods into any of this writing. So it's just fucking, I'm like, oh God. Pat, what are your thoughts?
It's sad that he's tail spins down because of what those two punks said. But the Thermians coming to his house when he's hungover is his reactions were hysterical. And I want to point out there are two characters who played the two lead Thermians, Mathesar, and I don't know if it's Teb with a B or Tev with a V. I forgot to check the credits.
It's a B like boy.
Okay. Well, Mathesar is played by an actor called Enrico Colantoni. I need to check my notes to make sure. Let me see here. Where are we? Yes, Enrico Colantoni. Up to this movie, I'd never heard of this guy before, but he is also an actor in one of my favorite shows from the past called Person of Interest. And his acting is right around the level of Alan Rickman, because the two characters that I've seen him in could not be more polar opposites.
Nice.
So when I realized who Mathesar was, I was like, holy crap, it's the same guy that plays Carl Elias. And anyone who's ever seen or watched Person of Interest will recognize this guy just by his voice. His voice and his face is like, holy crap, I know who that is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of the other Thermians is actually, what's his name from The Office?
Dwight Schrute.
Dwight Schrute. And this was one of his first appearances, and yeah, he's awesome. He's
And
delightful.
also honorable shout out to Missy Pyle, who plays the female Thermian.
Lillian, right?
Liliana, yeah.
La 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 la.
Yeah, la, la, la.
With the broken translator.
One of the best ways I saw them, I noticed when they wrote this and they had the Thermians playing more humanoid other than what they look like, the way they moved, not just, I mean, you notice right away that they talk a little silly and they don't know how to laugh, but just the way they walk, they look like puppets on strings.
I love it.
Hands going forward, like someone was lifting the strings to move their hands and move their
marionettes.
It was so animated that it was hysterical.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought the Thermians were fucking great, man. I mean, there's people that dress up like Thermians now when they go to Comic Cons and stuff. I mean, it's a big deal. I know people, people love to talk like it. It's great.
Yeah,
big
hysterical. And the vocalization that they do was completely made up. It was one of the actors. It was what he used to do to warm up his voice, and they ended up using it as their language.
Well,
interesting.
For a crazy language, it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love the scene where Jason's telling them, help me find my shoe, and he's bent over in his underwear. They're looking at his ass. It is an honor to be in your presence.
I made a note of the same exact scene because you couldn't have written it any better. They're honored to be in his presence. They're standing behind him while he's bent over on his knees looking for his shoe. They're staring at his ass.
Hung over. It's fucking classic. And
it was brilliant.
Yep. And also, let's give a shout out for how good Saris looks.
Yeah, he took the words out of my mouth. I was just gonna say that
Saris looks amazing. Like if the plates on his shoulders move when he's talking, and like his little lobster head things are moving. I mean, he's a fantastic.
And when he gets angry.
Oh yeah, those things shoot up on his
spines, spires or spines or whatever the hell looking things on his back fan out.
Oh, so good.
In his anger, it's like, wow. I mean, when you're gonna make a bad guy, boy, that's a bad guy.
Yeah, they just really did an awesome job with him, especially. Like all the bad guys look good, but he just looks really, really, really cool.
Yeah, they nailed it. It definitely did justice to parallel like a Klingon. I mean, they nailed it.
Right.
All right. Back on Earth, Jason goes to a ribbon cutting ceremony where the crew of Galaxy Quest has been hired to appear. He bumps into a fan and inadvertently switches his real communicator for the fan's prop communicator. Late again and looking rough and hungover, Jason tries to convince the crew that he's been to a space and he wants them to return to the ship with him. The Thermians come to take Jason back to their ship. The rest of the crew reluctantly decides to join him in fear that this is a paying gig and they will be missing another paycheck. Guy joins them at the last minute. On board, we learned that the Thermians have modeled their civilization after the show that they found from a transmission in space and thought was real. They refer to it as the historical documents. Jason and the crew are asked to negotiate a surrender to Saris, but Jason's crew realizes they are in real danger and want to leave, but are unable to. So, Lynn, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so we're not going to gloss over the scene where the crew is in the back room of like that Tech Value superstore, and all of a sudden there's lights under their feet and they get shot into space. They land, several thousand light years away on the spaceport. And they're all standing there, and Guy just goes, because everyone's freaking out. So, like, the best part about this is the crew didn't know he was going to scream. Like, the director knew, and Sam Rockwell knew, but Gwen's fear.
Sigourney Weaver did not know. She almost jumped out of her suit.
Yep. So she did not know. That was complete actual shock. So that was all real.
Yeah, this is where we get the first foil between Fred and Guy, because Fred says, "Oh, that was a thing.
Oh, that was a hell of a thing."
Hell of a thing.
So right there, boom, we're getting our first, foil, which is just awesome.
Also, Fred was almost late to the party because he was so busy checking out the snack machine.
Anybody got any change?
I love that. Pat, what'd you think?
Okay, I got to start this scene with, you cannot forget or dismiss the disdain Alexander Dane had when he came to his part of the opening ceremony. Okay, by far the look on his face, the sound of his voice. By Grabthar's hammer.
What a bargain!
What a savings! And the pause, because he could barely get the rest of the line out. I thought he was just going to collapse. He was so unhappy.
Oh, I love it.
Hysterical. The arrival scene with everybody arriving at the spaceport. They're standing there. They're terrified. They're visibly shaking. They can't move. And they hear the sounds coming towards them. And the look on Guy's face just went from scared to absolutely terrified. The moment those doors open, the camera goes back to the four of them, and you can just see the look of terror on Guy's face. The Thermians come in, they don't have their image generators on, and they're moving devices. Tommy gets something put in his ear, and and seconds later, that's when Guy just screams out. It was priceless. I'm like, oh God, thank God somebody screamed, because I was beginning to wonder if they were even alive.
Yeah, and I love the way the aliens looked without their whatever image generators on.
They're about as alien as you could expect to see.
They remind me of Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, if you guys remember that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought that was really great.
And then Fred shows up late because he was busy with the snack machine.
Yeah.
And that was a hell of a thing. I'm like, dude is so stoned.
And he's like, what's wrong with them?
But I don't know. Let's go.
I don't know. Let's go. Yeah, he played it good. You know what's funny? I felt a little bit of Jeff Goldblum coming through in Tim Allen's performance. You're getting a lot of Jeff Goldblum inflection in his voice.
Yeah, I can see that now.
Let's go. Let's just go. Let's just do it. You know,
he's also doing a little Shatner.
He's doing a little Shatner, but it's coming through as a little Goldblum to me. But I loved it. I thought it was a brilliant performance. Okay, on the bridge of the ship, Jason is confronted by Ceres, who fires on his ship, destroying the beryllium spear, rendering the ship inoperable, but not before they narrowly escape by flying through a minefield. The crew will need to go down to an alien planet to retrieve a new beryllium spear. This is by far my favorite scene in the movie. Pat, take it away.
Okay. Let's start by saying how you got to remember, these people are all actors. They have absolutely no idea what they're going to do.
Right.
How does Tommy fly the shuttle? I want to know this. How does Tommy fly the shuttle?
Well, let's back it up just a touch.
Okay.
The scene where Tommy takes her out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How can I forgot to bring that up? Now, another reason
it makes me laugh every time.
It is so funny. What's even funnier is, how is it's drifting left and he's not doing anything to stop it? You would think if you're in his place, okay, I'm moving to the left and I don't want to be going to the left, wouldn't you make an effort to stop it?
Yeah, and then watching the commander, watching Gwen, everybody like leaning to the side.
Oh my God.
And then Rockwell, left. You gotta go more left.
And yeah, Guy putting his 2 cents in was perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And the dinner scene also. I forgot to mention it. That's a great scene.
We missed some great scenes there.
Yeah, we also jumped over when Mathazar meets the rest of the crew, and he's like, Oh, Dr. Lazarus.
Oh,
And
the
everyone
worship.
goes,
The worship.
Lazarus.
The
Guy.
worship that the Thermians had for these people were. These people must have just been gods.
Young Laredo, my, how you have grown.
Oh, you grown.
I'm Guy. Guy.
Yeah.
And everyone whispering in the background. It's so funny.
It's fucking great. Now, if I was Alan Rickman's character, I would have been asking for, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna just pass on the ticks. I've been eating tons of them. Just get me a steak. I'm gonna go with the steak tonight.
That scene in the dining room when he's asked, Dr. Lazarus, are you enjoying your Kepler ticks? And the spoon in front of his face, the damn thing does a swan dive back into the bowl. His reaction was priceless. Like
So
Mother
good.
used to make.
Just like
Oh
Mother
my
used to
God.
make.
I mean,
The first
honestly,
time I saw that, I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah,
So funny watching that thing dive off the spoon.
I gotta say, if anything won an award for this movie, it should have been Alan Rickman's eyebrow, because his eyebrow is arched and like judging everyone through this entire movie.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. Is this where we get the Gilligan's Island quote too?
No.
Okay.
No, later.
Okay. So yeah, they're all great. So the crew is going down to the planet, and I did notice that when they're coming in for the landing, it didn't seem like Tommy was really flying the ship. I think it was more like they
Yeah, it was more
pre-programmed.
like autopilot. That's what made it bearable.
Yeah.
But so as we move on, they're Jason Nesmith, as they're making their way towards the beryllium sphere, is now doing the classic Jim Kirk roll.
Oh, yeah.
Does the rolling make it better?
Oh, when Gwen points that out, does that really help? Yeah, it helps. As he's dusting the dirt off his pants.
Yeah. Well, and we get
everything about this scene. There were just so many points. The entire scene, like I agree with you, is the best scene in the movie.
Yeah.
They're approaching the mining colony, and they see these little critters coming out, and Gwen is so, oh, they're so cute. Hi, hello. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody grab her and shut her up.
And we get Rockwell, again, one of the best lines in the movie. Yeah, they're cute now, but in a minute, there's going to be a million more of them, and they're going to be angry. Have you ever seen the show? And flying down to the planet. Let's not forget that.
Oh God.
At first I was thinking I'm the guy that gets killed on the ship, but now I'm thinking I'm the guy that gets killed in the first 2 minutes down on the planet. Don't worry, guy. I don't even have a last name. I'm not important enough. Great scenes. The door opens. Don't open that. You don't know if there's oxygen on this planet. Then he holds his breath.
He holds his breath, and Fred is like, he sniffs the air. He takes a couple of deep breaths. Seems okay.
Seems okay. And he's still not buying it. Guy is all curled up in a ball, holding his breath.
Like that's gonna save him. So the Gilligan's Island comment happens when they're having the conversation about where they're gonna go to get a beryllium sphere. So it didn't happen at dinner. It happens here, like after that.
Yeah, I thought so.
It happened far later in the movie when.
No.
Oh no, that was different. No, you're right, Delane.
Yeah. Oh, those poor people. Also, I want to say again, another perfect foil between Guy and Fred. When they're going down in the little shuttle, you'll notice Fred is eating one of those little cracker packs we used to take to school with the little red
sticks.
The little red
crackers
sticks.
And cheese.
He's fucking sitting there like he's watching a movie while Guy is losing his shit, and Alan Rickman is in the back seat, literally going, "Oh my God, are we there yet?"
I'm telling you, Fred was self-medicating.
Oh, it was yeah. He was getting high. There's no question.
He's snacking on cheese and crackers as they're coming down to the planet.
Yeah.
And the smile on his face, is like, this dude couldn't be more laid back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, you guys have to talk about the last name.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Talk about it.
Well, okay. So he's crewman number 6 that dies in the episode, and weren't they saying like,
Yeah,
it's just like in episode number 18, and he's like, I died in 18.
Yeah. And then they go, no, maybe it was episode 16. Yeah. He goes,
I don't even have a last name. Guy, you have a last name.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
That's what's funny about it. He's screaming out he doesn't have a last name because he's not important enough. And Gwen is saying, you do have a last name because Guy has a last name. Crewman number 6 doesn't have a last name. And Guy is so freaked out, he can't tell the difference.
Right. It's so funny though. Yeah. When fucking Jason Nesbitt is saying, just like in episode 18, like the Lynn said, and fucking guy, I died in episode 18. I thought that was just.
And then the other two, Tommy is like, well, maybe it was episode 51. I can't remember.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Totally.
They're trying to deflect it off to keep Guy from losing it.
And one of my other ones is when one of them goes, do you think they're the miners? And Tony Shalhoub goes, well, yeah, they look like they're only 3 or 4 years old. And he's like,
miners.
There's no miners.
So we're discussing the next scene that I didn't read off yet. So
sorry.
No, it's fine. We're almost through it. So we're just going to get to the end of this scene. Then I'm going to just go with the next one. So basically, they get their Valyrium spear. The aliens are going to chase them back to the shuttle, and the crew is going to narrowly escape before Jason is left behind. So this is great. Again, man, Rock gets one of the best lines. So they're watching Jason down on the planet through video, and he's beating up on this pig thing, and then he has to battle this giant rock monster, and he's like, "What am I going to do?" And Rock says, "Would it be possible for you to construct some sort of a rudimentary lathe?" Guy, get off the line, a lathe.
And that I have to chime in is a tribute to Jim Kirk from the original Star Trek. There was an episode where Kirk and some alien monster were on a planet, no weapons, and they had to battle it out. But Kirk was at a huge disadvantage and had to make some kind of a weapon out of the elements around him.
If I'm not
when Guy comes out with, can you make some kind of rudimentary lathe? I was like, oh my God, that's Jim Kirk's episode.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the episode where he's fighting the lizard man.
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I thought so.
But let's not pass the point where we're talking about Guy and oh boy, I just got sidetracked and I don't know why.
I know why.
Let's send it back to you, Des.
Okay. So at this point, he is battling this rock monster and he's about to die. So they say that they have the transporter set up, but
digital conveyor.
Yeah, they have not used it yet, so they don't know if it works. So they're going to test it out on this little pig monster he's fighting, and the thing gets beamed up to the ship, and it gets beamed up inside out. And then it explodes.
And that's the line that lives in infamy in our house. To this day, one of us will just go, and then it exploded.
Did you just say that it exploded? Please hold.
Hold, please.
And they're going to leave it up to Fred to beam him back up. And he says, Fred, I trust you. You're going to do it. And he does. And they beam him back up and he's safe. But man, that whole scene from the minute they board that little shuttle to the minute they beam Jason back aboard the ship is, for me, like, oh man, it's as good as it gets, right?
Also, when she goes to say, after the pig thing explodes, and she goes to say, hold, please, on the communicator, there's like a piece of pig lizard.
Everywhere. It's hanging off the communicator.
Oh, and the one Thermian is like wearing it.
Yes, it's all over his face.
The one that says, and then it exploded.
And it exploded. Did he just say it exploded?
Hold, please. Hold, please.
Now, I don't know if I'm the only one that spotted this, but I had to make a note. I've seen this movie 100 times. I own them. Now, when they're rolling the beryllium spear into the shuttle, and they're all trying to get into it, and they're all trying to pull the other one from behind it over it, as Jason gets left behind, or is it trying to pull him in? Am I the only one that picked up on Guy saying, "Leave him"?
Yeah, he does. He does.
He does.
I never noticed that up until the last time I watched this. I'm like, oh my God, did he just say leave him?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Beautiful.
Oh.
I had to make note of that because I'd never picked up on that before. And the fact that I hadn't heard it before made it twice as funny.
Yeah. I have to wonder if, Guy's or Rock's lines were that good, or was it his delivery? Because, I mean, it's a cut above anything else anybody's going to give me in this movie. And there are some very strong comedy deliveries in this. There's some really great performances. I'm laughing at everything everybody's saying. It's great. All of their mannerisms are great, but just something about the way he delivered his lines was a cut above.
I think honestly they were all delivering quite a bit here, but he just really dug into that character so hard, and he really delivered.
He really did, man.
Just the scene where when Saris is attacking them before they had to go looking for the beryllium sphere, he's at a console, and he's saying, "There's a red thingy coming toward a green thingy." I think with a green thingy, I swear to God, I thought he was gonna cry.
Oh fuck! I was fucking laughing so hard there, and I think with the green thingy. Oh my God, it's so fucking good. It really is. All right. So next, Saris takes over the Thermian ship. I started writing the Thermian, like I was calling them Theriums by now. So whatever I call it, just know it's a Thermian. Yeah, exactly. Next, Saris takes over the Therium ship and tortures the crew and demands that Jason tell the Thermians the truth about the historical documents and tell them all about the Omega-13. Then Saris orders the execution of the Thermians and the self-destruction of the ship. Jason and the crew trick the guards and escape. Gwen and Jason must reach the manual self-destruct button to save the ship. Jason remembers the fan Brandon with all the little technical knowledge of the ship, who he inadvertently switched communicators with. Brandon talks Gwen and Jason through the maze of dangerous hazards to reach the shutoff switch, which they successfully do at the very last second. Gwen?
Here it comes.
Oh my God. Of course, everything always stops at 1 second. Initially, Alan Rickman and Tim Allen did not get along on this set because Tim Allen is Tim Allen and Alan Rickman is Alan Rickman. So
yes. One's a funny man, one's serious.
Yep. So they definitely kind of butted heads a little bit, and they took that. And when they have this confrontation between the two of them to overpower Saris's guards, it actually, worked because, the two of them being at loggerheads and kind of like sniping at each other actually was kind of realistic for who they were.
Mm-hmm.
So it lent a little extra credence to the scene.
A little more realism.
Yes.
Yeah. Pat, what'd you think of the scene?
There's so much about it. The scene where they're getting ready to be flushed into space, and Jason comes up with the idea of how they can get out of this. And when Alan Rickman realizes what Jason's talking about, you can hear it in his voice.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Jason says to him, "It was just like in episode 17. Oh. Oh. All one other. And I'm like, oh my God, that was so funny. He couldn't have been hit by a brick and reacted any differently.
Nope. They did such a good job of building this movie, building the momentum, because this movie just kept getting better and better for me. And in this little cluster of scenes we're just talking about, this is where we're going to get some of the best stuff. I love Brandon's team, the way he assembles them, and his mom, take the trash out. I cannot stress to you enough how important this is. The commander needs us, and the mother says to the father, well, at least when he goes out with the little things, at least he's going to go outside. So the parents are just excited that this kid is fucking doing something. Alexander's scene with the dying Quellic. It's a great scene. It touched me. I thought it was a really tender scene. And we get the payoff where he's finally going to say, by Grathar's hammer, I will avenge you.
And he really means it.
And it brought a tear to my eye. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, am I going to fucking cry during Galaxy Quest? and then, the scene with Alexander when he's just kicking ass in the hall and his hair is sticking out of the fucking little rubber cap. And he's doing karate moves and he almost hits Jason. Oh, fuck, man. There's some really great shit going on in these scenes, right?
I have to bring up a comment. I made a note. We skipped by it. I wasn't paying attention. When they first got to the ship and Mathazar's giving them the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the best lines Alexander ever delivers is when they reach the barracks and the commander goes in. His ego is like so high and big right now. And Alexander's watching and he goes, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire.
Yeah.
I almost cried because the commander was in his element. I had to bring that up because there were just so many great lines. Like back when they're on the mining planet and they're getting ready to get the beryllium sphere and they see all the critters out there attack the injured one.
Yeah.
And someone, I can't remember who said it. It might have been Gwen. Let's get out of here before one of those things eats Guy. I'm like, oh my God, that was beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And also,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say the chompers and all the things they have to get through. Who wrote this scene?
Yeah.
And what the hell were those chompers for the love of Mike?
I know.
I mean, come on.
For drama.
Oh yeah, the torture scene. The torture scene where Saris is torturing Mathazar. It's like you're like, oh my God, like it's terrible. Like for a funny movie, this is a terrible moment. Like he is torturing this poor guy, and Jason has to explain to him that they're liars because the Thermians don't understand that that's like it's for entertainment. And like when he goes, but why? I'm like, oh my God, like it makes you feel terrible.
I thought Mathazar looked like he was going to cry. I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible.
Yeah, and he threatens to do God knows what to Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what the hell you do with a tear harness.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't want to know.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a ruthless villain and I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved when before Quellic gets shot and Alexander comes across him and Quellic is on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And he jumps down. I avoided capture by using your Mokhtar stealth haze. I'm like, really? Stealth haze? Oh, that was so cheesy.
I love it.
But hysterical.
Really good.
These
All right.
Syrians, they believed everything.
Oh yeah, super gullible. So next, Saris learns the self-destruct has been deactivated and the crew has escaped and taken back the ship. He orders his ship to fire on the Protector, but Jason has put up the armor. He demands Tommy to fly them back into the minefield where he collects the magnetic mines. He then turns and runs straight at Saris, destroying his ship with the mines. Just when we think the danger is over, Saris appears on the bridge of the Protector, disguised as Fred. He shoots Jason and the crew, but Jason activates the Omega-13, giving him back just enough time to stop Saris. The ship is moving too fast, so they separate from the Thermians. Brandon helps guide the Protector in for a crash landing into a Galaxy Quest convention to a screaming crowd. Saris exits the ship with his gun drawn, but is shot dead by Jason. The crew takes a bow. The movie ends with a new season of Galaxy Quest, where we see Lalari stayed with Fred and is playing herself on the show, with her real name now being Jane Doe, and Guy is head of security.
Head of security with
Rock
the name
Ingersoll.
Rock Ingersoll. The look on his face when he walked onto the bridge was like, holy crap, look at this show.
I loved it. I
So
loved it.
funny.
So, Pat, go ahead and take it. There's a lot to unpack here. This is the final scene. So,
Okay. The battle in space. It's amazing. The first time they faced Saris and used this ship, they got their asses handed to them. They had absolutely no idea what was going on.
mm-hmm.
Now they've replaced the beryllium sphere and they've gone through all kinds of hell to reach their goal. The ship is fixed. They're ready to go. And they're now, in the beginning, there's a lot of jealousy with his crew because everybody loves the commander.
Yep.
And there's the friction between Jason and Alexander because Alexander doesn't want to do the work anymore. But when they faced Saris again, it was a whole different ballgame. Everybody seemed to be so focused on what they were doing. They actually looked like they knew what they were doing because all the adversity that they had gone through had changed them.
Yes.
They were no longer individuals who were just angry or jealous or scared. They were a team now.
They're working like a team.
Exactly. And it made a big impact on the way, obviously, that it worked. Tommy learned how to fly the ship, and instead of looking like the goof scraping the ship through the spaceport as he's leaving, he now knows what he's doing.
And it was cool because they gave us that line where when they're taking the ship back, what should I do? Go practice flying the ship is what he tells them to do. Yeah.
It's what he needed to do because he was clueless in the beginning.
Right.
So go ahead. No. You were going to comment.
So I was going to say that I was especially impressed by Tim Allen in this last scene because right before the Omega-13, nobody knows what it does. That's part of like the hook of this is that nobody really knows what it does. And, a lot of people think that it's a bomb, that it's just going to blow everything up. Mm-hmm. And that when the commander talks to Justin Long's character, Brandon, he says, what is the Omega-13? And Brandon says, a lot of people think it's a bomb, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but we think that it is a matter rearranger and it can give you back 13 seconds. And, Gwen's like, what can 13 seconds do? And, Jason says, it's enough to fix one mistake.
Redeem one mistake. Exactly. And
so then when you get to the end and he says to Mathazar, because they're under attack, Saren is shooting everybody, killing everybody. And he says, activate the Omega-13. There's this moment where if you watch his face, he looks up at the Earth. He's like, we're heading right towards the Earth. And if this is a bomb, I could kill everyone on Earth. Like, because they're so close to the Earth. And he's like, I'm going to take this chance to try to save everybody, but I am taking a huge chance here. I could kill everybody. And he presses it and he closes his eyes like, oh, and he does it.
It's a good educated guess.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it could do one of two things. It's either a bomb or it sets you back 13 seconds in time.
Yep.
Now you have to think, even if the Thermians have no clue what it does, who the hell is going to create a bomb that's going to wipe out everything in existence?
The United States.
Yes, thank you.
Russia.
China.
Okay, well,
Humans.
Let's say that it's not the United States.
Oh my God.
But it's funny that that he chooses to use the Omega-13, and it makes sense because you got nothing else to lose. If you don't use it, everyone dies, and the ship crashes into the planet. What else? What have you got left to lose?
Well, my other thought too is that I think he thinks if Saris kills us all, we're right here at Earth, and Saris is going to go on Earth and start killing people.
Correct.
So I think that's kind of like his train of thought. Like, and it's literally 5 seconds that he has to think this.
Yeah.
But like, because I said to myself, would you take that chance and blow up the ship? Like, if it was a bomb, to blow up the ship that close to Earth, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just let quote unquote Saris win? And it was like, well, because Saris is going to move on to the Earth next because he's right here.
Yeah. I love the scene too where Brandon's running out with all the fucking flares and shit.
The fireworks.
The mother, where are you going? Well, the commander needs us because they've separated the ship because they're coming in too quickly and we need to guide him. And she's like, all right, whatever. She says to the father, well, at least he's playing outside. Fuck him.
Well, they're hyper through a black space, through a black hole, and blah blah blah. As you know, that's pretty unstable.
His description was so perfect for his character. Well, you see, the protector got super accelerated coming out of the black hole, and they're doing like Mach 15, which is pretty unstable. So we're going to guide him in with the box and use the Roman candles for visual confirmation.
She's like, okay, have fun.
Dinner's at 7.
Yeah.
Well, and then she looks at her husband and goes, well, at least he's outside.
Yeah,
and her husband's just like,
Oh,
not
shit.
a word, just,
Now, what did you guys think about the ship conveniently crashing into a Galaxy Quest convention?
Oh, that was written so well. What's amazing is nobody got hurt.
I was about to say, you got to think somebody would have gotten killed in this melee, but
At least wounded, bumped.
And we're going to get an old Western shootout between Jason and Saris, which I thought was really cool. And he's going to give us one more Shatner role.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
And, he shoots him, he hits him, he explodes into a puff of fucking smoke, and the whole crowd erupts. And, oh, man, I thought it was fucking great.
It's funny that the crowd thinks it's all fake, of course.
Yeah.
And actually, the way Saris died, that couldn't have been more 80s sci-fi than you could ever ask for. I mean, it was pretty sad.
He just made
the way he died could have been done a little bit better.
Yeah, and he's got
he exploded and then imploded and then was nothing but a puff of smoke.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved the visual on that. I thought it was perfect. And his gun reminded me of a giant submarine sandwich.
Yes, right? It does look like a sub.
Saris's weapons, those weapons, absolutely. They look like a giant sub. They did a pretty good job trying to mimic the Star Trek phaser.
Yeah.
They look very much like it, but the Shatner roll before the shot, you couldn't have scripted that any better.
Right.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. And again, clever writing, the way Jason, put together the magnetic mines were going to, stick to his ship. And I love that last, interaction between the two of them. I'm a general. You forget my ship will tear through yours like tissue paper. You forget that I'm tailing a bunch of mines. I was like, fuck yeah. So, yeah, good writing throughout this.
And also nice
so
that
much
Jason,
more confident.
Yeah, and also nice that Jason brought everybody up for the bow at the end. Usually it was all about him, and now he really, really, really recognized it was all about the crew.
Which is why the new show could work.
Right, it's a total change. Yep. Jason was an egomaniac who really had little concern for what happened with the rest of his colleagues. He's taking little jobs. They're getting pissed at him. They're jealous of him. They're angry with him. And you could see the look on the rest of the crew's face when he invited them out to center stage to take a bow. You could see how surprised they all were.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the look on Gwen's face. She was like, oh my God, he means us.
And I believe this character development at the end of this movie, where I actually felt like there was some change in the character of Jason Nesmith, unlike in fucking Scrooged, where if this was the end of Scrooge, he would have gone up there. He would have said, hey guys, hang back for a minute. So, man, I couldn't have done it without my fucking crew, these people behind me. And he would have made some karate moves and been like, all right, why don't you guys come up and take a bow with the commander? That's the end of fucking Scrooge. And that's what he didn't like about it. But this movie,
Okay.
Back to Scrooge.
But there was a nice.
I was gonna say, let's not get back to Scrooge. I do want to make one reference, another guyism that was so perfect. When they're making their rescue, the crew splits up, and Guy, and of course, Guy and Fred are put together.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect team.
Yep.
This is another great situation with Guy being such a great and the best character. They're going to try and free the Thermians or get the air back into where they're trapped.
Right.
And they come up to the room where all of Ceres's men are, and they can't get in there to do what they need to do. And Guy's got the weapon, and just you watch the way the guy moves is just a parody of your action heroes. He's got the gun. It's in his arms. He's turning around. He's waving back and forth. He slams himself into the wall. And you had to laugh. Fred has an idea. He uses the digital conveyor to bring up Grignac, and Grignac just totally freaks out on all of Ceres's men.
Oh, it's fucking great.
Perfect
you gotta love it when Fred goes, maybe you're the plucky comic relief.
The plucky comic relief.
Yes. Hey,
And
Plucky?
Guy's like, Plucky?
Plucky? Like grabbing onto anything like he might live. Maybe I'm plucky.
Maybe he's just plucky. Exactly. So Fred had the brainstorm. It works out great. And all of a sudden, Fred and Leia, or however you want to say her name, they start making out.
So great.
You see the real tentacle come up behind Fred over his shoulder, and Fred looks at it, and now he's in heaven, and they start getting hot and heavy.
Yep.
And Guy comes up with, guys, get a room, and then oh, that's not right. I was in tears. I could not let this podcast end without making references to those two scenes, because it is all Guy.
Yeah, and this whole movie is all Guy. I mean, again, so many great performances, so well written, but I mean, fucking Guy stole the show.
Stole the movie. He wasn't the lead character, but he stole the movie.
Yeah, it's one of those movies I can watch again and again for Guy.
Absolutely.
I can't get enough of his his shit. It's just the best. Going down onto that planet, I can watch that scene 10 times in a row.
Oh, when she turns and says, "Let's get out of here before one of those things eats Guy," I almost cried. I was laughing so hard.
And that's the other thing. All the best lines from the other actors are talking about Guy. Yeah, that character was just flushed out like perfectly. It's a perfect character. It really is. It's a perfect character.
The ending when they show the new adventures of the Galaxy Quest, you have to remember, as they're showing the scene of the crew and the commander, and they're showing every actor their character name, you have to think back to the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With the old Galaxy Quest, the commander has a mullet.
Yes.
And after a fight, he's smoothing the sides of his hair. He could not have been more animated. It was so 80s cheesy that it, of course, worked.
Yeah,
but now
right.
you see the new adventures, and he seems so much more adult in the new adventures. He's clean cut. He doesn't have a stupid look on his face. He makes the dramatic turn to the camera when his name comes up. And mind you, I got to make comment, Gwen looked better in the new adventures than she did in the original.
Yeah.
The outfit that they have her in for most of this movie is very unflattering. And then the thing that they put her in for the new adventures of Galaxy Quest, way more flattering. And I think that was done on purpose. Because those outfits
the
were
hair
not,
looked better.
Yeah, the
The
hair
hair
too.
looked so much better. She looked cute in the New Adventures.
Mhm.
Whereas in the 80s, she looked like an 80s, I don't know, harlot.
Goodness gracious.
All right, everybody. So let's give our final thoughts and our rewatch scores. And Pat, you go first, and let's keep it under an hour.
Okay. Well, I think you already blew that. This was, I think this might be my first, no, maybe my second. I'm giving this a 5-star. I can watch this movie again and again and again because there are just so many scenes, so many one-lines. There's very few comedies out there that I can watch over and over again because once you've seen the laugh, you've seen the laugh.
Right.
But again, Guy makes the movie.
Yep.
You can watch this movie just for Guy and still watch him over and over again. So no question, this is a 5-star for me.
All right. 5 rewatches for Pat. Delynn, final thoughts, rewatch score.
I'm gonna keep it simple. It's a 5. It's a 5. I've seen it over 20 times and I'm still laughing. It's a 5.
All right. And I can't agree with Pat more. There's certain scenes in movies that just never, ever lose their charm for me. One being Surge. I could watch the scene between Eddie Murphy and Bronson 1,000 times, and it's never not going to be funny to me. I'll laugh. I could watch that movie 10 times in a row right now. I would laugh every single time. It would be entertaining every single time. Guy is the exact same thing, and there's enough of it sprinkled through this movie where I can watch this movie over and over and over, and it's funny every single time. It's a perfect movie. And yeah, I got down on Tommy a little bit, Laredo in this, but it wasn't that bad. I just like to complain, just like Scrooge. I didn't hate it. And
You did.
You? No.
So I also
never.
am giving this movie a 5 rewatch. So with all of our 5s, this is a perfect movie. It's a 5. So if you haven't seen Galaxy
It's a 15.
Quest yet, all right, fuck, it's a 15. so this actually outscored Neighbors? No.
Yes, absolutely.
Because all three of us love this movie. I think only one of us loved Neighbors.
So all right. So this is going to put Galaxy Quest at the top of the list of movies we've done so far. This is the best movie that we've reviewed. Everybody agreed it was a 5. It was a perfect movie. We all loved it. I have to disclose that I will have to edit this a little bit.
Yeah, somebody's punctuation sucked.
Yeah, and for ones going forward, when I'm doing the hosting, I'm going to try and add some periods and punctuation to my writing to make it a little more enjoyable for you, the listeners.
Yeah, you won't get confused by your own words.
Yes, exactly, by my own terrible writing. So I want to thank you, Delynn. Of course, I love watching movies and discussing them with you. Pat, as always, animated, great podcast. You did a great job, and I knew you had to be on board for this one in particular because
absolutely.
We both love this movie. Next week, we will be discussing The Wedding Singer with Mickey, the podcaster with 1,000 potions. And I think she'll get this. Don't worry, them dried apple seeds are no danger to you, sweetie. And until next week, let me ask you a question. Hey,
okay.
Did you ever see that movie? All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Later.
We see a very unenthusiastic cast. What? Who wrote this? This is terrible. Jason meets Mathasar and his crew of Thermians, an alien race of beings, on his way to the bathroom. Wow. I can't do this. This looks like it was written by a 5-year-old.
That's not saying much.
I can't get this out. There's no punctuation. It's just seriously, how am I supposed to read this? This could be a long night. All right, give me one more chance. Okay. So our first commission tonight, we've got a family who's going to be listening, so let's not let them down.
Okay, coach.
At attention, the commander is on the bridge.
Good God.
Oh, Christ. This is going to be a long podcast.
Yeah.